1742.
It's a pretty quiet day at the airport. We just had some storms roll through. And plus it's a weekday, so there won't be many people out flying. But it's pretty scenery, and there's the clouds from the storm that just rolled through. It's very peaceful. I know they're out flying because I heard a plane when I was back at home. So only somebody that's retired with good income or retirement money can be able to afford to be flying today on a Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock. But we are here and it's pretty beautiful. And I think it's time to go to get breakfast. So that was a wonderful breakfast, as I expected. And now it's time to head off to the craft store to get a frame for Mom's needlework. The sun is trying really hard to come out, and it's warmed up quite a bit. While I was eating breakfast, it got really hot in there, and so my hair is finally long enough that I can put it up with a pen or pencil. That comes in handy. I don't know what I've done with all my hair ties. So they're probably in the car or someplace. Who knows? The cats like to play with them. So here we go. Off to the craft store. Buckle up for safety. You would never know this place is here. It is really tucked back behind a bunch of commercial properties and stuff like that. What a gem of a place, though. The food is so good. The staff is always wonderful. Top notch Airfield Cafe. Unfortunately, this will probably be my last visit. So while we'll drive, I'll tell you a little story about why airports are special in our family. There's always a story, right? My grandfather on my mother's side was involved in aviation prior to World War II and during World War II. And he worked for a company, I'm not sure what the company name was, but it was for aeronautic instruments. And then, after a point, somehow it came about that he managed or ran an airport down in Massachusetts, Seekonk, to be exact. And so he worked on airplanes, and my grandmother helped work on airplanes, and my mom helped with airplanes. And my mom can even remember, she said, that sitting in my grandmother's lap in an open cockpit airplane flying with them. And she never took the advantage of learning how to fly from my grandfather. Much later, she said she really regretted that. And then my brother, who's 2 years older than me, always wanted to fly. He just a strong desire to learn to fly. And he worked his way up to become eventually a pilot for a commercial airlines. And he did it the hard way, because usually pilots that fly for commercial aircrafts come from the Air Force or some military background. But my brother was really determined to fly. He started out earning his private pilot's license. Then he learned how to, or he earned the ability to teach flying. And that way, the students were paying for the air time, but he was accumulating the air hours. And then eventually he worked up to being able to fly twin engines and flew people around the country or wherever, again accumulating his hours and having somebody else pay for it. He's very smart. And then he became a pilot for Commuter Airlines that was a subsidiary, I believe, of Delta, flying people around the small airports of the New England area and New York down to the major airports. So those were mostly people that, you know, had jobs that commuted to the big cities for work, but they had their families living out in the countryside of New England. And then from there, he became a flight engineer for TWA and got to fly all around the country, and also he did some flights over in Europe. And then eventually, as his family grew, he decided it was too much time away from his children. And again, while he's flying, during the layovers, he worked towards his degree in computer science. He's such a smart guy. He got the smarts, I didn't. And so when he quit that job, as a pilot, he went to work as a computer programmer. And then when I was in my 20s, husband number one loved to fly as well. So we would rent a plane and fly around different parts of Florida, and we'd fly down to the Keys and Key West, which is absolutely beautiful. Fly over that chain of islands in Florida. And then I started taking flying lessons too. And I was almost to the point of being ready to solo, and I was scared to death. And I realized that that kind of fear does not go hand in hand with flying an airplane. So I quit. That was it. Do I regret it? No, I don't. But I do love flying in small planes. I love watching them. Oh wow, here we are at the marshes. I gotta stop. Excuse me. I love the marshes, and it must be high tide. Out of the holder so you can see the marshes. Oh man. I should roll my window down. Let's see. They're just beautiful. There's something so mysterious about them. That right there is a painting waiting to happen. So is that. A painting waiting to happen. Those see what happens tonight when I get home. Maybe I'll paint that. But this, to see them so high. I don't usually drive by when the tide is high. It's pretty amazing. So I'm going to stop it and I'll put it back in my car holder. Okay, so here we go. Back on the road. And as soon as the traffic clears. But isn't that amazing? I just love it. Glad I'm getting out more and taking these drives. And to be honest, I'm doing it for you guys. I'm doing it because I want to share this with the world. And they're my travel partners. I don't regret not getting my solo and my private pilot's license, but I do love being around the airports. I do love watching the planes, the small planes coming and going, and I wouldn't mind taking a flight in a small aircraft while I'm still here over the shore, but it's not priority, you know, it's not really something I want to spend my money on. I want to get this house sold and closed and get on the highway. I'm really eager to go. And to camp, to be outdoors more. To remember what the name of my brother calls it. There's a German name for that. Longing to travel. They have a specific word for that in Germany. Or in the German language. Kind of like a wanderlust, but I think it means a little bit more than that. It's interesting how us human beings have different intuitive desires for different things. There's another beautiful little pond. That one's a pond.